Hey folks, and welcome to another Sasoi spikeboarding tutorial demonstration. Today we are on the outskirts of Denver, right close to Golden, Colorado, and as you can see, we are on some mighty fine pavement, often referred to as glass, and we have a skateboard spike from Sasoi, and we have a skateboard that's optimized for spikeboarding, otherwise known as a spike board, and both from the Sasoi company. And we are practicing the sport of spikeboarding. Spikeboarding is a form of cross-country roller skiing. We have a carbide spike tip, same as roller skiers do, and we're engaging that sweet, sweet glass. So there's many places in the Metro Denver area to spikeboard, and very similar to cross-country skiing, high side, low side loops are absolutely perfect, and this particular little Suburban situation is offering us exactly that, a slightly high side, low side, and actually we're going to do 4 loops here on like an expanding clover kind of layout design of this suburb. And so we'll do this first lap, and then we'll get into the strokes and what the athlete is really doing. We want you to know that on this YouTube channel we will begin to have breakdowns on how to execute every little part of the technical aspects of what you're seeing here. So when we say technical, what we mean is the execution form of the stroke. So think of swimming and think of dog paddling. So technically, dog paddling is what it is. You've seen it. And technically, freestyle swimming or front crawl requires very specific movements. So when you hear the word technical and you see human propulsion and endurance, it basically means that there's very specific ways in which you want the body to move so that it will be as efficient as possible at extracting its energy from the body into the pavement and moving the athlete forward. Of course, that all leads to racing and somebody winning by the slightest little tiny margin, might even be less than a centimeter. So let's get into the strokes here, guys. What we've got here is the Kubi cross stroke. That's a stand-up spike stroke, and the Kubi cross stroke is in conjunction with the lower body scooter kick and the upper body cross-country movement. And what you're seeing here is the skateboard spike remaining on the same side of the athlete and then switching over in between the two strokes. So when you see the skateboard spike stay in between, you see the skateboard spike, stay on the same side, and the strokes begin to happen one after the next with the skateboard spikes remaining on the same side. So there's a switch, there's the Kubi cross and the switch, and then when you see the athlete go from stand-up spike to Kubi cross and the spike doesn't switch over, those are called connectors, and they're really nice to do up hills. But essentially we have 3 strokes in spikeboarding: the stand-up spike stroke, the Kubi cross stroke, and the inside Kubi cross stroke. And of course then we've got a little bit of downhill, and if you can spike the downhills one-handed, that's really nice as well. You can keep the propulsion going, but as you can see, this kind of descent is a little bit too fast, so we're just carrying the skateboard spike in a neutral position in its middle and keeping it parallel with the board. And as we come close to this turn, pick up a little bit of speed and just launch it and keep it going. Notice how the pitch on this hill is a little less steep, and we can still continue to pick up speed as skiers would in double poling, and of course here in spikeboarding and stand-up spike. But these speeds are far and above what you could kick, and as soon as you can no longer turn the leg over, then you need to keep your legs on the deck. There's a 1/1, so we're one-armed and we are standing on one leg. There's 1/2, there's a stand-up spike stroke. And so the stand-up spike stroke has 1/1, 1/2, and of course stand-up spike is 2 arms over 2 legs, powers through turns very nicely. So you never lose the ability to be able to propel yourself forward. There's the Kubi cross again. And we're keeping our cadence to 5 and 6, 5 and 6. There's the connector. The spike stayed on the same side. Bang, switches straight over to the other side. Everything remains ambipedal. So the ambipedal skill set all is begun on a scooter, guys. That's a scooter kick, and very similar. There's the inside Kubi cross. So we're going to kick and spike on the same side, kick and spike on the same side. Very handy stroke to know. It's not a very powerful stroke, but under racing circumstances, if you had athletes shoulder to shoulder, there's going to be opportunities to really gain advantage with an excellent inside Kubi cross. There's the Kubi cross stroke with kick and spike on the same side. Bang, straight over that inside Kubi cross. If that athlete also had a wounded arm and wasn't able to engage it, the inside Kubi cross is phenomenal for that. So you can switch between Kubi cross and inside Kubi cross, or you could carry a bag with some stuff in it if you needed to. So here's that high side again, and then we begin to descend again as we carve this delicious glass. So Denver's full of this stuff. It's everywhere, and as you can see, there's very low traffic in this area, and it just offers sensational spike boarding. Really, really nice core straight out your door. There's the 1/1. Always a constant core engagement. Make sure you keep an eye on those arms. Those arms are not outstretched. Those arms are behaving exactly like those of a cross-country skier. And this downhill stuff is just your candy. It's really nice. Eat your vegetables, get your protein, get your whole wheat, and then have a little bit of ice cream. It's always nice. So spikeboarding has a tremendous amount of carving in the sport, and that's the skateboard aspect of it. So spikeboarding is as much skateboarding as it is cross-country skiing, only it's 100% cross-country skiing in regards to the focus and the desire to polish up technical stroke and achieve high performance. That doesn't mean you need to race, folks. Not at all. High performance just means clean stroke where you're not wasting energy. So the clothes, of course, are all technical clothes, and they're going to be tight, just like cycling, just like inline speed skating. When that skateboard spike comes down around your quadricep, you don't need baggy pants, and you don't want to have a bunch of stuff in your pocket. It's going to interfere with everything. And of course, Lycra, very similar to speed skating, is going to offer 3 pockets on your backside where you can keep everything that you need, whether that's hydration, 200-300 calories of extra fuel, and some identification and some keys. So Lycra jerseys work fantastic. There's a little a blip in the action, and of course when you're thinking about a million things and you're getting filmed, that might happen. Just goes to show you need your navigation skills locked and loaded constantly when you practice this sport, and that's what's lovely. Notice the drifting there. We're drifting on the board as we go up the hill, and we'll get into drifting later in other videos. It's a big component of spikeboarding, and then we're doing connectors on the same side. When you see that skateboard spike stay on the same side, you're connecting all manner of strokes, one arm stroke, alternate leg kicks, and it's a delicious way to move in a very Nordic skiing fashion. Of course, everything in the sport was inspired by cross-country skiing and the addition of the scooter and skateboard kick. So folks, you're standing on a board. It's a board and wheels. So roller skis are boards and wheels. We have acrobat and we have endurance theater. Spikeboarding brings the board to the full body endurance theater for the first time. And of course, once that happens, you have brought the most comprehensive form of human movement on land that engages strength, endurance, and balance, known as cross-country skiing, onto a board. That just makes things very, very casual. You cannot cross your tips, and you have no bindings nor boots. Things become incredibly casual. So as we finish out our loops here and finalize this video, you're watching 1/1 strokes and 1/2 strokes, and those are mighty fine once you get to that skill set and you're doing them seamlessly. It's a great way to engage full body functional strength and of course the lats and the core. Folks, we hope you've enjoyed this video. Spike hard, spike often. Denver, SpikeBoarding. See you at the next one.